the topic here is, how do you really do the best possible job you can of making sure you turn those internet leads into move-ins, right? So, Holly, since you're in the middle, we're going to start with you, who you are, and then we'll move to Denise.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. So I joined caring.com. I'm a sales director there. My team helps communities get the maximum number of leads and really reach their full potential with our enhanced listings. I've been in senior living in the industry for over 20 years. I'm dating myself there, but over 20 years. And so I've been kind of on both sides, receiving the leads and now helping to provide those leads. So really happy to be here.
Cool. And Denise?
We're thrilled to have Holly. I would like to say, first of all, I'm Denise Grob. I'm director of Caring's Reviews program and one of the original experts who helped create the program close to a decade ago. In fact, that's one of my claims to fame. I'm one of the longest tenured employees at Caring.com, and I'm the creator of the Caring Stars Award program based on consumer ratings and reviews.
Cool. So let's talk about best practices for communities that get these online leads. What do you recommend? What are you seeing that's working?
Sure, I can take that. Really adapting to the modern day drive-by in terms of knowing that your customers are looking at you online before walking in. And really having a strong sales process that you are following. And collecting reviews, so really managing your online reputation. And of course, having a very strong, excellent online presence overall.
Terrific. Well, let's actually talk a little bit more about the web presence. I know that there's sort of three elements of a web page. There's the text part, there are photos, and there are videos. Are you seeing things that work better than others?
Well, right now, more than ever, just creating that strong presence. Videos are huge, content, showcasing, and having a strong social media platform as well. So being able to tell a story that's really going to draw you in, right? So if I'm looking for my family, I want to know I can relate to somebody. So that's really important now more than ever.
So are you thinking like professionally produced videos or just stuff you do with your iPhone?
Well, I think both can work, right? If they're done well, they both can work. Sometimes we can't always have that professional content. So if we are able to do something professional looking on our iPhones, I think that's great as well.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to actually back up on you just a little bit because you used a term that might not be familiar to everybody. What do you mean by modern day drive-by?
Sure. I love this term. So back in years and years ago, when I was in a community selling, I'd always get people saying, we drove past your community. We wanted to check you out before. A lot of leads came in by drive-by. And now people are driving by from the comfort of their own home. So they're utilizing their online searches to even check us out before they even put a community on a list to have that in their top 5. So really saying that curb appeal is happening online now rather than actually driving past.
And to me, it seems like it actually makes it a lot easier and better, and you can create a more robust presence than when somebody was the old-fashioned way of driving by and going, I don't know whether I want to go walk in or not. It's easy to just walk in. It's like you're stalking the community, right? In a good kind of way. So we talked a little bit about online presence. I'm particularly interested in your thoughts on social media. Where should communities be and what should be there?
Again, I really think that telling your story, we can put out there our amenities and of course what we provide in terms of care, but communities should be showcasing testimonials, families that can give a testimonial, or even a resident that can give a testimonial, and really telling their story and how that community has helped them.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you I love this because I just think this is an area where I hardly ever see it, honestly.
So Facebook is critical for the boomer and senior audience. In fact, so much so that the youngsters are hopping off that platform to others. It's become the place that the boomers and the seniors are hanging out. So Facebook, your community should have a Facebook page. And obviously you want to get some photo releases for any senior stories that you're telling. I agree with Holly. Telling stories rather than selling is important for Facebook. So that's the one thing. For their caring profile, I would add to what Holly suggested that they should have excellent photography, as well as what makes them special, what makes them unique from the community down the street. And of course, I'm biased toward the online reviews. They've got to have those online reviews.
You're absolutely right. So I got to ask, you're probably going to hate this, but I'm going to ask anyway. How about TikTok and Instagram?
I am seeing some boomer use of Instagram to the dismay of the millennials and the even younger group. But yeah, Instagram is fine. It's a visual story more so for Instagram than the storytelling you see on Facebook. I think Facebook lends itself better to engaging the families, showcasing the seniors. I think it's easier for the seniors on Facebook, to be honest with you. TikTok is brand new. In fact, just over the weekend, my brother was teasing my boomer dad about not being on TikTok. So we'll see. We'll see in the coming months whether TikTok ticks off for the older generation.
Well, I confess to being of liking TikTok a lot. And I am starting to see some senior living communities have a presence on TikTok and getting pretty good traffic on it. And so and the reason I like it sort of comes back to this idea of storytelling. What I see TikTok so excellent for as a style is to tell short comeback story. So let's come back to the sales process a little bit. Holly?
Sure, that's my favorite topic. So now more than ever, just really that speed to lead, right? So we have to act quickly. And I always would compare this to, we wouldn't let a family walk in our community and sit in the lobby, right? They want you to react. You come in, you welcome them. You're not going to wait 2 hours of waiting. So really just grabbing that lead right away. And if you're not available, if there's not a sales director available or an ED available, really having a backup plan for that lead. So that's really part of that sales process. That's the key point. The next one is listening. You have to listen. You have to know their needs. Don't just spew out everything that you can offer. Sit back and listen and take it in, and then provide your value. And most importantly, follow up. After being in senior living and any type of sales, the follow up is key. Most of the times you're not closing till after 5 true touches are met at minimum. So be intentional and just don't give up on it. The follow up is really what helps you.
So both for you, Holly and Denise, I want to actually dig into this a little bit more. One of the things I hear from operators is that they feel like the quality of leads they get from lead aggregators like Caring.com aren't very good. And when I sort of think through that process, it occurs to me that that's probably not quite true, but that often that's the first place when people are first thinking about it. And making a senior living decision is a big, huge decision, and it takes people time. So when somebody comes through, but they're not really ready to buy and they don't know what they want, what do you do with that?
Well, I would say that's really where that follow-up is key. They're just now reaching out to the teams and they may not be ready. And they may not be ready for 6 months to a year, especially for independent living. So that's why we can't say, oh, well, this wasn't a great lead. Every lead's a great lead. We're going to help them no matter what in senior living. So being a partner with that family, because a lot of times, it's the family that's trying to get the resident to move in, and maybe they're not having the best of times. So we're going to partner with the family and really help move along that lead by following up. So I don't think there's ever a bad lead. There's always great leads.
And Steve, I would add that caring partners have access to a tool in our partner portal that tells them where that consumer moved in. So we are able to educate their sales team that it was a good lead, but they missed out on what Holly was describing of implementing sales process. Their competitor didn't, and the competitor was able to convert that same exact lead.
So we don't have time to go here on this video, Denise, but that's a whole nother video or article we should do. I think that actually talking about that is really, really important. Okay, let's talk about reviews. As Denise, as you know, I'm a big fan of the review process. I know you are too. So let's talk about why you think they're so important.
Well, they're important for a lot of reasons, but critical for the converting internet leads and attracting them in the first place. Like you said, finding senior living is a difficult process in some cases. There's a lot of emotion involved. The reviews help reassure them that they're on the right path, looking at the right communities for their situation. They can hear from other customers just like them. At Caring, we've measured and we've watched users of our website. So we've watched them go through the search results, skip past those community listings that don't have reviews, and only click on the ones that do, and then spend 15 to 20 minutes reading those reviews. So they're really clamoring for that kind of feedback, or what Holly described as a testimonial. So very important for attracting them. And then whether they're referred by Caring or a hospital discharge planner, they're highly likely to go online and do some research on that community. And what they read in those online reviews is going to help decide whether they take a tour or keep that community on their short list for the communities for themselves or their loved one. It dramatically boosts inquiries, tours, and move-ins. We've looked at this numerous times over 5 years, 7 to 10 times more move-ins for the communities that have 15 to 16 reviews versus those that only have 1 to 2. Huge differentiator or booster, if you will.
So I have to tell you a story. I was talking to a friend just yesterday who used to be the executive director of a senior living community in, I think I can tell you where it's in Colorado. And they were a Caring Star for 4 years in a row, which made them a superstar. Is that what you call them?
That is correct. 3 years or more as a superstar. That is
okay, so
correct.
they were a superstar. And I will tell you that he told me, and this was just part of conversation. We weren't even particularly talking about Caring, but it's so funny because it just happened the day before we're doing this conversation. But he told me that once they became a superstar, that it had a massive impact on their move-ins. It just made more leads, better leads, faster leads, all those kinds of things. So testimonial there for you. Unsolicited.
You. We actually looked at that data too. For Caring Stars, on average, more than 2x inquiries and nearly 3 times move-ins once that badge is on their listing.
That is crazy. So one more thing I want to talk about for just a minute. And this is sort of a hard thing, right? I think that sometimes people are reluctant to ask for reviews because they're never quite sure that they're going to get a good review. So what if somebody gives me a terrible review? What do I do about that?
You need to respond to it. Well, first of all, you're automatically disqualified from Caring Stars if you haven't responded to 1-star and 2-star reviews. And we just talked about how important Caring Stars was. So if you want to stay in consideration for that award, you need to respond to the review. We have entire webinars on how to ask for reviews, how to respond to reviews, lots of best practices and tips. You need to not take it personally. Try to separate yourself emotionally from that feedback. Try to stay calm and professional. And remember, my biggest tip I give communities is you're not really speaking to the reviewer in your provider response. You're speaking to the crowd that's reading your response. And those responses can be just as influential as the review itself. In fact, you can do more damage with the response than that negative review did. Consumers nowadays are pretty savvy. They're looking at those negative reviews and they know you can't please everybody. So how you respond can make a huge difference as well. And if you're not responding, consumers notice that as well. And I just saw right before we got on this webinar a stat that said more than 50% of consumers nowadays won't do business with that company if they're not responding to their negative reviews online. That's pretty impactful.
Yeah. And the other thing I would add, as a consumer, when I look at reviews, if all I see are 5-star reviews, I'm a complete skeptic. I assume they have cooked the books and they're not there. And so I would just say you should welcome some negative reviews. As you guys all know, both talking to you guys and as the audience watching this, as a writer who tackles tough stuff, sometimes we get our own harsh reviews. And that's okay, because it gives us an opportunity. It teaches us things about getting better, and it gives us an opportunity to respond and have dialogues.
I think we should just summarize. You need to adapt to the modern drive-by, and that means having an excellent online presence, build the sales process that Holly described, refine it, optimize it, make sure you're speed to lead, you're responding to those leads rapidly, and get online reviews and manage your online reputation. Do those 4 things and you're going to be ahead of your competition.